I finished my grapes because there were outtakes of this video for some reason. Something technical went wrong. There was a technical glitch. And I was referring to another channel where an Italian boy who doesn't grasp the English language wants to teach English and is not really able. An entertainer is not a teacher. A teacher can in a way entertain people, but grasping the language, okay, it takes years and years. And if you have lived some years, 1, 2, tops 3 years, I don't think how long he has lived, if he still lives there, or he lived if he lived in the past in an English-speaking country. But really you overestimate your language skills. I tend to underestimate my language skills. To be on the safe side, I always say that I don't speak good Greek. Actually, my Greek is much better than that fucking English that he speaks. For Christ's sakes, jars on my ears. Not only because he doesn't speak well, because everybody's entitled to make some mistakes. English is not their first language, but he poses himself as an English teacher. Then he says he doesn't pretend to be an English teacher, using incorrectly the word pretend, that in English seems vain, to make show of something, and not really, when you're not really something and you do something, you pretend. You pretend to speak Korean when you don't speak Korean, but you speak something and other people think you're speaking Korean. That's pretend. But pretend in English is another kettle of fish. Okay, having said that, why am I speaking English? I'm speaking English just because it's a way for you to have a understanding practice, which I think it's a very important thing to do. Okay, for some reason, my English is quite clear. Maybe because I usually teach English, and my accent is quite, is quite neither fish nor fowl. It means it's a little bit English, a little bit of American. There's a tinge of Italian, living in Italy and being influenced by this language, which is also my native language as English. I don't know which one is really native. Anyway, what I want to convey through these videos, that learning a language is a serious commitment. Doesn't mean that it's boring or it's dry work. It can be very interesting, like many intellectual challenges can be very interesting, and funnily enough, it's more interesting, less boring when you do that the right way. I mean, if you're so focused on doing something well, you don't have time to get bored. Okay? You're so focused on your task at hand, and that's a good thing, because when you see the first results, and usually you have results, then you are more pushed. You tend to do that more and more, just because you know that the time you put into this activity makes you get results Sorry if I don't speak very fluently, but that's because I'm just thinking. Most of the time people speak like this. I should prepare my videos. I don't know if I should. They would be more outwardly, well, packaged, so to speak. But I prefer doing like this. Maybe I'm lazy, or maybe I'm able to speak off the top of my head, or I don't know, I couldn't post so many videos if I had to prepare, and if I prepared my videos, maybe I wouldn't be so natural when I speak. When people speak naturally, sometimes they interrupt themselves, they think, they start a phrase, a sentence, and then they start another sentence. That's a common thing in spoken language. This doesn't happen in written language unless it's a reproduction, so to speak, of the spoken language. But usually you write in a different way. Speak about my accent. I'm sure that's quite funny to you, because I live in Italy, and maybe you can hear that, but I live in England, and I lived in the United States of America. So sometimes when I speak, I have, the choice of words I think is more British, but the accent not really British. I can, tone down the American accent and have more of a British accent, in spite of the fact it's never 100% British, and it will never be 100% American, or but what it can be seen as a flaw, it can be seen also as a good side, because people who understand me can understand both accents. I think it's quite a middle of the way accent. I don't know if it's really mid-Atlantic, as I sometimes call it, and but really is my, at least, mid-Atlantic English. What else I want to say? I strongly recommend watching videos several times. Just one time is not enough. When you are comfortable with a video, you understand everything, you have assimilated all the grammar rules that sometimes are hidden into the speech. Not now, because this is a free speech video, but sometimes I just practice what I think are difficult grammar rules or grammar structures, like the usage of the present. English doesn't have a really difficult grammar structures. The only thing that can be tricky is direct and indirect question. I know who you are, where are you? Common mistakes, I know where are you. This is a structure that is not quite immediate for foreigners. Okay, for the rest it's quite easy. It's not all Greek, neither Italian or modern Greek. Morphology is quite simple, but the usage, when to use, how to use, that's quite difficult, tricky. That's not picnic, as they say in English. Another difficult thing in English, because I know Italian, I studied French, I'm starting again to speak Greek, and English is really a language rich in idioms. Really, many idioms come from America, even to England, and they're used in England. And I find this a very appealing side of the language. It's very expressive language, very rich in vocabulary, the bad side is the spelling that is awful, really awful spelling, not phonetical, quite historical. Also, Greek has an historical spelling, but once it's written, you know 99% of the times how to pronounce, and that doesn't work for English. I mean, if you have to write Greek, you don't know how, for example, what kind of spelling with this e sound the word has, but you have to read. You know how to read. In English, you don't know how to spell and you don't know how to read. Okay, actually, sometimes I think it's easier to read than to spell, but it's really, really difficult. It takes years to master English spelling. There are differences between American English and British English. What else I want to say? Okay, tonight I'm going to rehearse because tomorrow I'll have a concert, and we are underpaid musicians. It's a common thing in Italy. Unless you're very successful musicians, we muddle through for a few dozens of euros, so to speak. I mean, if you are paid 70 euros for a gig, we are lucky. I mean, I speak about common musicians. We play jazz, and that's not a very commercial kind of music. And playing also jazz recorder is like a crazy thing that I do. I play jazz recorder. Actually, I play also flute, saxophone, clarinet, sometimes a trumpet, and something is calling me. Pronto? Ok, dica. Sto facendo un filmato. No, sto facendo un filmato e questo andrà a finire nel mio video, quindi. La telefonata, sì, quello che dici, sto registrando il video. No, what? Che volevo dire? Allora? Ci vediamo? No? Allora devo uscire subito, se no arrivo tardi. Vabbè, allora ci vediamo alle 6:30. Ok. I was recording an English video. That's why I'm speaking English, but people will hear Italian as well. Because I was speaking about that Italian musicians are underpaid. You understand? Sottopagati. Ok, lo vedrai poi questo. Vediamo. Dov'è l'evento? Aspetta, adesso saluto quelli del pubblico. Hello, I have to speak. Goodbye.